Do you want to know how to change an RV tire? That's what I'm fixing to show you. If an attempt is made to seat the bead by inflating the tire bead can break with explosive force. Hey y'all, I'm Cole, and this is Younger Every Day. So basically we bought a fifth wheel, sold all our stuff in Texas, packed up the kids and the dog, and headed out. Now we're exploring the East Coast and we're loving this crazy RV life. On this channel, we do product reviews, take you on amazing adventures, and share tips and tricks for RV living, just like this one. So if you're new here, click subscribe and join the Younger Gang, and don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss out on any of the fun. In fact, if you're new here, I hope you'll click up here to check out some of our other videos. Today, I'm gonna show you how to swap a tire on your RV, in this case, our fifth wheel. And it's similar to what we had to do when we had a blowout not too long ago. Now, the good news is, we got this tire right here, free and clear, no charge, using our Good Sam tire and wheel protection. And honestly, I vaguely remembered even buying this plan, but I can tell you, walking out with a free tire was pretty sweet. And if you'd like to know more about that, you can check this video out right up here. So let me tell you how we're gonna do it. What I'm gonna use is our 6-point leveling system. Our manual does recommend against using the levelers to lift the tires off the ground or to do any kind of service. But we've leveled this thing hundreds of times and it has lifted the tires off the ground on more than one occasion. And the manual says not to even change the tire yourself. If we can't change the tires on our RVs as full-time RVers, that's a real problem for me. To do this, it'll just barely be off the ground and nothing will be underneath the tires or the RV. Now, to try to limit the travel on your jacks, you may actually want to put some blocks underneath, but I think we're going to be able to do it without jacks this time because we're in a really level place. So let's go take a look at how we're going to do it. Oh, I almost forgot. If you'll stick around to the end, I'll show you something kind of nasty that happened on the way here. Just like with your car, the first thing I'm going to do is break the nuts loose so that they are already loose when I lift it up and I don't get that rotation from the tire when I'm trying to get the nuts off. Everything's loose, so now we're going to see if we can use our leveling jacks to lift this puppy up. To run my jacks down, I'm actually going to use LCI's One Control app. Then I'm going to go to manual mode and I'm going to extend my rear jacks. Right now I'm lowering my rear jacks, while at the same time I'm going to alternate between lowering those and also lowering my front jacks so that I can lift front and back into the trailer up together. All right, so let's see if it worked. Perfect. So now it's really pretty much just like changing a tire on your car or your truck. We're gonna take the nuts off, pull the tire off, put the replacement tire on, get everything tightened down in the right bolt pattern, and then I'm gonna come back with my torque wrench and make sure that the lug nuts are torqued to spec because that's super important. You don't want a wheel popping off while you're rolling down the road with your towable RV. Oh, I didn't break that one loose. This is the problem I was talking about. This is why you make sure you break them all loose before you jack it up. In this case, thankfully, I only had one that was like that. Now we're ready to pull our tire off. Pull it out of the way. Since this is the spare, I'm gonna leave it over here so that in a minute, I'll show you how to put it back under your trailer. Ooh, I love the smell of new rubber on tires. Just like with your tire in your car or truck, you gotta line up your bolt holes with your studs. So we're gonna do that. One thing to check is, in our case, we have removable hubcaps. You wanna make sure you got that hubcap in because if you put the wheel on and then realize you left it off, that's just more work for you. So make sure you got that in place first. So let's get it lined up and let's get this tire back on. The hub was moving on me a little bit, made it kind of hard. All right. Now I'm just gonna get my lug nuts put back on. Once those are on, I'll get them kind of snug and then I'll come back and torque them properly. It's nice to have our regular wheel back on instead of the white spare. Been running the spare for a little while we're getting the new tire. So a lot of people talk about the fact that the tires that come on towable RVs are not necessarily the best quality. And so the first stop you should make after you get your towable is at the tire shop to replace them because people have had some pretty explosive blowouts. In fact, the tires that come on them typically are made in China and they are notorious for some pretty nasty blowouts. I've seen pictures where not just like we had some exterior surface damage, but like blowing out, breaking wood and structure of the actual RV so that you have a hole into your RV. You don't want that. Now in our case, we bought a Jayco North Point 375 BHFS. In fact, if you haven't seen our tour, you can click up here to check that out. And in getting that, the North Point has a bunch of luxury upgrades. One of those is it comes with American-made Goodyear Endurance Load Range E tires, which that's one of the most popular tires people recommend for fifth wheels like ours. Unless you're going to a Load Range G or something, Goodyear Endurance is pretty good. So when we had a blowout, somebody asked me, our friend said, well, I hate to tell you, but a lot of times you get one and you have a whole bunch more. But we have the tires that people recommend putting on it. So I didn't go out and say, okay, we better go replace all our tires now, because the tread looks good, they're still good, and it's a really well-made tire. On top of that, we got that tire and wheel protection through Good Sam, which so far I give an A+. Just like with your car or truck tire, hopefully you know this, if you don't, news for you. Same thing with your trailer tire. You want to make sure that you follow a specific tightening pattern so that you get it snug all around the hub. I'm just gonna get these snug and then I'll lower the trailer back down, then get them tightened down and torque them according to the specifications. If you don't have one of these tire irons, I highly recommend it. It's much easier than using the normal one that comes with your car or even your RV. If you'd like to get one like I have, I'll put a link in the description below for this 4-sided tire iron. They're all snugged up, so now let's lower our trailer back down onto the tires and then we'll get it torqued properly. So to determine what bolt pattern to use, you're going to want to check your manual. So here's a shot of our manual for our Jayco North Point. Also, you're going to find in there your lug nut information, your torque range. So I'm going to go ahead and follow the instructions here, which is I'm going to do a stage 1 where I snug those down, then a stage 2 torque where I apply 95 foot-pounds of torque to them. Then I'm going to go ahead and do stage 3 with 115 foot-pounds of torque using my torque wrench, and that should get everything nice and snug for us. Let's go check it out. Today I'm using my torque wrench. It goes up to 150 foot-pounds of torque, and I'm also using an extension. This is just a Torin torque wrench. Anyway, if you don't have a torque wrench, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description below for a torque wrench like mine, as well as the extension you need, because this just makes it so simple for taking care of this. Incidentally, did you know that you need to be checking the torque on your wheels on your towable RV every 500 miles? Word to the wise. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna spin this all the way up to 90. So once the bottom of this ring touches the 90 line right here, go ahead and crank that over to the 5 mark right there. So now we're at 95 foot-pounds of torque. I'm gonna go ahead and snug up this little tightening nut, keep everything in place. Now we'll go ahead and torque it. Just like I mentioned before, when we snug them up, we use that start pattern. We're gonna follow that same pattern as we apply the torque. Okay, one click means we hit that 95 foot-pounds. We'll jump down across to the next one. Do the same thing. Okay, there we go. That's 1, 2 for number 3. We'll come back to the left of my original one. Okay, number 4 is going to be right across from that one. Number 5, keep going around this pattern. Okay, number 6 is directly across. Then we'll go to number 7. Okay, and then directly across from that, number 8. Okay, so that's our 95 foot-pound stage. Now we're gonna go ahead and adjust it to 115 foot-pounds and do our last stage. For number 3, 5, again number 7, and finally, number 8. We've got our tire back on. Now let's go look at how we get the spare back under our towable RV. You probably got one of these tools with your RV if you bought one new. Hopefully if you've got one used, you got one as well. It's really important to keep this handy. In our case, I couldn't find it when we had a blowout and we're trying to change our tire at 11 o'clock at night in the dark. I had put it in the bed of the pickup thinking, oh, that'll be where I need to find it, but I couldn't remember it was in there because we've been traveling for a little while. Fortunately, Jason and Liz, who are traveling with us, had theirs handy, so we were able to use it. But this is what you're gonna use to raise and lower your spare if you have one on your towable. And you can also use it to spin the nuts once you get them broken loose, whether you're taking them off or putting them on. Let's go ahead and lower down our spare system here. You can see it's just a hex-shaped socket of sorts. We're gonna just stick it in there on that shaft and start rotating it to lower it down. Probably right after we put this on and pulled out of the side of the road situation we were in, we picked up some kind of tool that's embedded in our spare. So I'm gonna have to take another trip to a tire shop and get this repaired, although Now, if it's damaged, then we'll go back the warranty route and get another new tire. So you can be sure that I will let you know how that goes. In the meantime, let's go ahead and put this back under the trailer so I can show you how to do it. Once we get our tire positioned under where it goes, we can just crank this back up and it'll self-center it. So now we're good to go. Everything's secured, and that's how you change a tire on your towable RV. The next thing that I'm gonna do is check the tire pressure and make sure everything's good to go. If you haven't seen the video on how to do that, you can click right up here to check out my review of the Viair 400P RV air compressor. Now I wanna know, have you ever changed a tire on your RV, whether a fifth wheel travel trailer or even a Class A or Class C? If so, how did it go? Let us know in the comments below. All right, if you're easily grossed out by things, then you might wanna just look away now, because it might get nasty.
Oh my gosh, that stinks. Oh, it smells so bad.
When we set up the trailer last night, we smelled some stank. The kids were like, it stinks in here. And honestly, I'd been working so hard, I couldn't smell anything. I'm like, I don't smell anything, whatever, go to bed. But they could smell something, and lo and behold, it was something that died and then wrapped itself around the jack right below their room. So let's see if we can get it off. Oh, it's somewhere.
Here, take this. I can't handle it. I'm gonna barf.
Pretty nasty looking. So the moral of the story is, if your kids tell you they think they smell something that smells like something died, you probably ought to check it out. Thanks for watching. I hope you got a kick out of this. If you did, give us a thumbs up and let us know you liked it. Also, if you haven't done so already, click subscribe and join the Younger Gang so you can be a part of our community. We have a lot of fun here. This is one example, but we also do some other things. So if you'd like to check it out, I hope you'll look at some of our other videos right over there. So, having a blowout, just so we can share this kind of useful information with you, that's just another way we're living younger every day. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.